Have you ever been blamed for something just because you were born? My older sister Emma has cerebral palsy, and my parents have spent my entire life making me pay for being the normal one. Growing up, every family dinner was about Emma's achievements. She got a B+ despite her challenge, while you only got an A. Every birthday, half my presents went to Emma, so she wouldn't feel left out. When I made varsity soccer, Dad said, "Just remember, Emma will never get to run like that." I became the family ATM at 14. My summer job money went to Emma's therapy. My babysitting cash funded her special equipment. When other kids bought video games, I was buying Emma's medications. My friends got cars for their 16th birthdays. I got a lecture about privilege and responsibility. The worst part? Everyone praised my parents for raising such a selfless son. Teachers would gush about how mature I was. Neighbors called me an inspiration. Church members held us up as the perfect Christian family. I smiled and nodded while dying inside, wondering what I'd done wrong to deserve this life. My guidance counselor pulled me aside junior year. "Jake, your grades are incredible. Have you thought about applying to top universities?" I laughed bitterly. "With what money?" She looked confused, so I explained that every penny I'd ever earned went to Emma's care. When I got accepted to Stanford with a partial scholarship, Mom sat me down with tears in her eyes. "We're so proud of you," she said, "but we can't afford the rest. Emma needs a new wheelchair, and her therapy costs just went up again." My college fund, 18 years of birthday money, graduation gifts, everything, had vanished into Emma's medical expenses without anyone asking me. I watched my dreams crumble while my parents acted like they were making a noble sacrifice. I was 22, working 2 dead-end jobs to afford community college, living in my childhood bedroom decorated with participation trophies I'd won before I learned winning meant nothing in our house. Emma called me sobbing one night. "I need to tell you something," she whispered. "Can we meet tomorrow?" We sat in a coffee shop where she pulled out her phone with shaking hands. "I recorded Mom and Dad last night. You need to hear this." The audio destroyed me. Mom's voice. "We've been too hard on Jake. Using Emma as an excuse to control his life isn't fair to either of them." Dad replied, "He's strong though. He'll figure it out. Besides, Emma actually told me she feels guilty about the college money. She never asked for any of this attention." "But we made it seem like she needed everything," Mom continued. "When really, we just couldn't say no to her requests and yes to his dreams. We turned him into her caretaker instead of her brother. The worst part is how proud everyone thinks we are." Dad sighed. "When really we just took the easy path. It's easier to sacrifice Jake's future than fight insurance companies." My sister looked at me with tears streaming down her face. "Jake, I never asked them to take your college fund. I begged them not to when I found out last year. They said you'd understand because you're the responsible one who always sacrifices for family." My throat felt raw. "How long have you known about all this?" "Since I was 16. I overheard them arguing about money and realized they were stealing from your future to avoid dealing with my actual care needs." She slid an envelope across the table with my name written in her careful handwriting. "I've been saving my disability checks for 3 years. It's enough for 2 semesters at Stanford." I stared at the envelope, then at my sister, the person I'd secretly resented for years, realizing she'd been fighting for me the whole time while I blamed her for our parents' choices. "Emma, I can't take your money. That's not fair to you either." "Yes, you can," she interrupted with a firmness I'd never heard from her. "I also applied for an apartment near Stanford's campus. I'm moving out with you." "What about Mom and Dad? What about your care?" Emma's jaw set with determination I'd never seen before. "I'm 20 years old, Jake. I can manage my own care. They can learn to function without using us as emotional pawns. I'm done being their excuse to control your life." 2 months later, we moved into a tiny apartment together. Emma got accepted to a nearby community college for graphic design. I started Stanford in the fall, finally pursuing the engineering degree I'd dreamed about since middle school. Our parents called constantly, alternating between guilt trips and desperate anger. "How can you abandon your sister?" Mom cried during one particularly dramatic call. "After everything we've sacrificed for this family?" Emma took the phone calmly. "You didn't sacrifice for family, Mom. You sacrificed Jake to avoid the hard work of actually supporting me. There's a difference. Sometimes the person you think is holding you back is actually the only one fighting for your freedom. And sometimes breaking free means doing it together."